Now reunited with Grogu, Din Djarin, better known as the Mandalorian, visits his bounty-hunting clan at their secret base, and saves the group from a giant, aggressive crocodile beast. Speaking with their leader, the Armorer, Djarin admits to removing his helmet, a breach of his strict Mandalorian code. To overturn his exile, he must travel to the destroyed mines on his home planet Mandalore and bathe in the legendary living waters. While traveling through hyperspace to Navarro, in their flashy new starship, Djarin and Grogu observe mysterious, massive space whales called purrgils, arriving at the now bustling trade planet. They meet with High Magistrate Greef Karga, who offers Djarin a place to lay down his blaster and retire. Elsewhere in the city, a group of criminals under the command of Pirate King Gorian Shard and led by a pirate punk named Vane cause trouble. When Djarin eliminates most of the pirates, Karga offers him a job as the town's marshal, as Cara Dune has since left for the Special Forces. Though appreciative of the offer, Djarin refuses and insists that he must mend his relationship with the rest of the tribe, his Mandalorian group. For the first step in his plan, Djarin intends to revive the combat droid IG-11 and heads to a group of tiny Anzellan mechanics for help. To fix the droid, the Anzellans require a rare memory circuit board, so Djarin and Grogu head off-world to locate it. Out in space, the Mandalorian is ambushed by Vane and Gorian Shard, but he easily evades them and escapes. Arriving at the planet of Kalevala, Djarin meets with the leader of the Mandalorians, bo-katan Kryze, and asks to join her ranks. However, without proper ownership of the Darksaber, which would grant her rightful rulership, bo-katan's forces have left her. Although Djarin possesses the Darksaber from defeating Moff Gideon, he cannot gift it to bo-katan, as it must be earned in combat. As such, she has disregarded her aspirations of retaking the planet Mandalore. Fortunately, she still provides Djarin with the supposed location of the mines, kickstarting his quest for redemption. Continuing his quest to reach the mines of Mandalore, Djarin and Grogu travel to Mos Eisley and visit their mechanic pal, Peli Motto. While Peli is unable to produce a memory circuit to repair IG-11, she instead offers up a cowardly astromech droid called R5-D4, which Djarin begrudgingly accepts. Equipped to the best of their ability, the trio depart for Mandalore. Arriving on the hazardous planet and unable to contact anyone off-planet due to atmospheric disruptions, they begin a treacherous pilgrimage. Unsure of the safety of the planet's surface, Djarin leaves Grogu in the ship to investigate. While exploring, he is ambushed by cave creatures called Alamites and defeats them using the Darksaber. After learning that the atmosphere is breathable, Djarin and Grogu head underground to the abandoned Civic Center and begin looking for an entrance to the mines. During the search, Djarin is captured by a robotic creature in a giant mech suit, but Grogu manages to escape. Following Djarin's advice and with the help of his newly learned force powers, Grogu flees to Kalevala and recruits bo-katan in a rescue effort. Arriving back on Mandalore, Grogu guides bo-katan back to Djarin, fighting Alamites along the way. When they arrive at the creature's hideout, bo-katan finally gets to wield the Darksaber and defeats the robot creature with style. With Djarin now free of imprisonment, the team heads towards the mines of Mandalore, while reflecting on how far their once great civilization has fallen. Finally arriving at the living waters, long rumored to be the home of an ancient creature called the Mythosaur, on which a lot of Mandalorian iconography is based on, Djarin enters the lake and is quickly sucked under the surface. As bo-katan dives deep to rescue him yet again, she catches a glimpse of the Mythosaur, suggesting that their culture's legends may be more fact than fiction. While traveling back to Kalevala, bo-katan, Djarin, and Grogu are attacked by TIE fighters, so they speed back to the surface to recover Djarin's ship. While the pair easily repels the first wave in a stunning aerial battle, they are caught off guard when a second wave of enemies bomb and destroy bo-katan's castle home, forcing them to flee. Meanwhile, on Coruscant, Dr. Pen Pershing, the Imperial scientist who once worked with Moff Gideon on cloning research, now works with the New Republic as a new member of an amnesty program, in which former Imperials are re-educated to eventually integrate into society. Living with other amnesty members in secluded housing, Pershing meets with Elia Kane, an ex-communications officer from Moff Gideon's crew. While attending a festival and snacking on space popsicles, the pair bond over their shared experiences, and Kane encourages Pershing to continue his cloning research, despite it being strictly prohibited by the amnesty program. Together, they attempt to raid a restricted Imperial shipyard for a mobile lab station, but Kane betrays Pershing and gives him up to the New Republic authorities. As punishment for the crime, Pershing is placed into a memory-erasing device called a Mind Flayer, while Kane watches on. As the rest of the medical team leaves, Kane cranks up the power on the Mind Flayer, purposefully frying Pershing's brain. Fresh from the fight on Kalevala, bo-katan and Djarin arrive back at the tribe's secret base. After producing proof that he bathed in the living waters, Din Djarin is reinstated as a Mandalorian warrior. Surprisingly, the Armorer also allows bo-katan to join their ranks, as she bathed in the waters as well. With their respective exiles forgiven, bo-katan and Din Djarin look forward to the adventures ahead. At the secret tribe home base, Grogu starts his training in the bounty hunter creed alongside other foundlings, under the guidance of Djarin. During combat practice, a foundling named Ragnar is plucked from the ground by a soaring dragon beast, putting the group on high alert. Together, bo-katan, Din Djarin, and Ragnar's father Paz Vizsla team up for a daring rescue attempt. Thanks to bo-katan's ship tracking system, they discover the nest of the beast, located at the top of a steep mountain, and take off in pursuit. As the team heads to the lair, Grogu learns more about the Mandalorian creed from the Armorer, and earns a shiny new metal chest piece. During the lesson, Grogu has a flashback to his time at the Jedi Academy, during the execution of Order 66, when Emperor Palpatine used the clone army to try and kill all Jedi, including younglings. Thanks to the help of Jedi Master Kelleran Beck, who destroys dozens of attacking clone troopers, Grogu narrowly escapes with his life. At the base of the lair, the team of Mandalorian warriors begins their climb, unable to use their jetpacks for fear of awakening the beast. When they arrive at the peak, they discover that the beast is caring for 3 babies of her own, and the Mandalorian foundling is intended as their next meal. As the beast takes to the skies with the foundling in claws, the rest of the Mandalorians pursue. Working together, they successfully strike the beast from the skies and save the foundling, earning tremendous respect from their peers in the process. As a reward, the Armorer upgrades the equipment of bo-katan, who chooses to have one of her new pauldrons branded with the mark of the mysterious Mythosaur. On Navarro, Pirate King Gorian Shard attacks the trade city and demands Magistrate Greef Karga's surrender. While the Magistrate refuses to abandon his people, Gorian Shard continues to bomb the streets, sending the population into pandemonium. Cashing in on an old favor, Karga sends a distress message to the fighter pilot, Captain Carson Teva, hoping for help from the New Republic. Traveling to Coruscant, Teva meets with Colonel Tuttle, who declines the request after being manipulated to do so by Elia Kane. As Magistrate Karga leads the survivors of Navarro to safety in the lava flats, Captain Teva travels to the tribe's secret base with directions from R5-D4 and asks for their assistance. After a bit of convincing from Din Djarin, the Mandalorian warriors rally together and agree to aid Navarro. Led by bo-katan and Djarin, the group launches an attack on Gorian Shard's command ship, while Magistrate Karga watches on from afar. As Djarin distracts Vane and the rest of the officers in an aerial dogfight, the Mandalorian warriors clear the streets of all remaining pirates. At the same time, bo-katan bombs Gorian's command ship, destroying the engines. Turning his tail in cowardice, Vane abandons his team and flees as Navarro is liberated, with Shard getting killed in the explosion from his ship crashing. For saving the town and eliminating the pirates, Magistrate Karga grants a large portion of Navarro land to the Mandalorian people, so they can start a new home. While everyone else celebrates, the Armorer meets with bo-katan and tells her that she may have the power to reunite the various Mandalorian tribes and retake their home planet. Elsewhere in the galaxy, Captain Teva discovers a New Republic prison transport ship floating in open space, and learns that it was the ship that was supposed to transport Moff Gideon to trial. Upon closer inspection, he is surprised to find a broken piece of Beskar alloy in the wreckage, suggesting that a Mandalorian extracted Moff Gideon before he could be brought to justice. While flying through a less traveled sector of space, a Quarren freighter ship is tracked down by a stolen Imperial battlecruiser, operated by a group of Mandalorian mercenaries who once worked under bo-katan's command. Hired by a royal client, the Mandalorians and their leader, Axe Woves, peacefully recover a runaway prince and head to planet Plazir-15 for their next contract. Looking to reunite with old allies, bo-katan and Din Djarin track Axe and his sizable squad to the colorful Plazir-15. There, they meet the planet's political leaders, Captain Bombardier and the Duchess, who revel in a lively feast. Although they appear wholly royal, the pair explain that Plazir-15 is a true democracy, but outsources their military defense to Axe's small army. Unfortunately, the planet's force of reprogrammed Imperial droids have been malfunctioning, leading to unexpected chaos. So, the two parties strike up a deal. If bo-katan and Djarin help by fixing the droid problem, Plazir-15's government will support their efforts of having them meet Axe and thus retake Mandalore. Following instructions from the head of security, Commissioner Helgate, Djarin, and bo-katan head to the lower level of the city to meet with the Ugnaught droidsmiths, who direct them to investigate the nearby loading docks. There, Djarin gets punched in the face by a rogue droid, which they chase down and eliminate. Following clues that lead them to a droid bar called the Resistor, they learn that all the malfunctioning droids in the city were affected by a specific batch of lubricant, containing corruptive nanodroids. By examining the lubricant up close in a lab, they determine that the nanodroids were illegally requisitioned by Commander Helgate. When Djarin and bo-katan confront Commander Helgate with their discoveries, he admits to intentionally causing chaos for political gain. After exiling the commander for his crimes, Captain Bombardier and the Duchess reward Djarin and bo-katan with the key to Plazir-15, while Grogu earns honorary knighthood. With the droid problem solved, the trio finally goes to meet with Axe Woves and the Mandalorian army. When bo-katan tries to reason with them, Axe attacks, and the two duel. Although she emerges victorious, Axe still denounces her right to leadership, as she doesn't wield the darksaber. Finally throwing his opinion in the mix, Din Djarin explains that technically, bo-katan is the rightful owner of the darksaber, as she defeated the creature that disarmed him back on Mandalore. By this logic, he gives the darksaber to bo-katan, further cementing her position as leader of the Mandalorians. On Coruscant, Elia Kane reveals that she is working with Moff Gideon when she covertly contacts him via a surveillance droid. After learning of bo-katan and Din Djarin's rising power, Moff Gideon meets with the Shadow Council, a secret group of Imperial loyalists. Rising to a spot of new leadership, Gideon rallies the Council to eliminate the Mandalorians and stop their attempts to retake Mandalore. Meanwhile, bo-katan and Din Djarin return to Navarro, leaving time for their respective tribes to mingle. Magistrate Karga greets Djarin and Grogu with gifts, including IG-12, a refurbished droid designed for Grogu to control. That night, all the Mandalorians meet under the leadership of bo-katan and agree to move their fleet and prepare to retake their home planet of Mandalore. Scouting ahead for the fleet, bo-katan, Djarin, Grogu, and a squad of Mandalorian commandos land on the planet's surface and begin searching for the Great Forge. During their search, the scouting party meets a group of native Mandalorians who have survived since the Purge of Mandalore. That night, during a bout of honesty, bo-katan admits that she surrendered to Moff Gideon and gave him the darksaber in an attempt to prevent the Purge, but that Gideon betrayed her and still went ahead with killing her people and planet. Despite this, Djarin and the other Mandalorians still support her. Guided by the native Mandalorians, bo-katan and the others head to the Great Forge. While the armorer takes some of the malnourished survivors back to the fleet, However, they are attacked by a gigantic creature called a Trinitar that bursts through the planet's surface, destroying their ship and forcing the Mandalorians into the caves below. Underground, the Mandalorians discover the abandoned capital city, but are ambushed by a group of Imperial dark troopers wearing Beskar armor. As Axe Woves escapes to call in reinforcements, the rest of the Mandalorians fight back, pushing the Imperials further into the caves. However, they fall into a trap, and Din Djarin is separated from the group. Appearing in flashy new black Beskar armor, Moff Gideon boasts his success and calls for the destruction of the Mandalorian fleet. Thinking quickly, bo-katan uses the Darksaber to cut an escape path through the blast doors, while Paz Vizsla covers their retreat, making the ultimate sacrifice. Paz goes out in a blaze of glory, defeating hordes of dark troopers before he is ultimately bested by 3 Praetorian guards. Continuing to escape from the secret Imperial base, bo-katan informs Axe Woves about Moff Gideon's plans. Following her orders, he rushes to evacuate the fleet while the other Mandalorians flee the caves with enemies in tow. Elsewhere in the Imperial base, Din Djarin fights off his captors with a little help from Grogu in his mech suit. After R5-D4 helps by downloading the base's schematics, Djarin heads toward the command center to confront Moff Gideon. Meanwhile, Axe returns to the Mandalorian fleet and evacuates everyone, but stays behind to pilot the capital ship. Back in the Imperial base, Djarin fights his way past the command center guards with remote assistance from R5-D4. Inside, he and Grogu find incubation pods holding clones of Moff Gideon, which he planned to imbue with the Force powers by harvesting Grogu's blood, creating the ultimate army. Up on the planet's surface, the armor arrives with reinforcements, reuniting with bo-katan's squad. Together, they launch an assault on the Imperial base, engaging in a fierce battle with the Dark Troopers. Inside, Djarin finally confronts Moff Gideon, and the pair duke it out. When Gideon calls in the Praetorian guards to subdue Djarin, Grogu intervenes and pulls their attention into another room. Making her way through the mayhem, bo-katan comes in swinging and ambushes Gideon, landing a solid hit. As she faces off against Gideon with the Darksaber in hand, Djarin uses the opportunity to help Grogu, and together, they defeat the Praetorian guards. During their fight, Gideon counters an attack from bo-katan, and in the process, destroys the Darksaber. As Gideon prepares to land a killing blow, Djarin intervenes in the nick of time. As the Mandalorian capital ship falls from the sky, Axe aims it at the Imperial base and ejects from the ship. While the other Mandalorians escape, Djarin, Grogu, bo-katan, and Moff Gideon engage in a grueling battle. As the capital ship hits the base and explodes, Moff Gideon is vaporized, but Grogu protects Djarin and bo-katan from the Inferno with his Force powers. In the wake of the battle, bo-katan and the others continue to rebuild the capital city and use the living waters for new foundlings to take the Mandalorian creed. Finally making things official, Din Djarin adopts Grogu, allowing him to become a true Mandalorian apprentice. As a final act of reclamation, bo-katan and the armorer relight the Great Forge, as the rest of the Mandalorians watch on. Looking ahead to new adventures, Din Djarin strikes up a deal with Captain Carson Teva, where he will take bounties from the New Republic on a case-by-case basis. When he returns to Navarro, Djarin receives a personal cabin from Magistrate Karga. In return, Djarin gives Karga a new town marshal in the form of IG-11, revived thanks to a memory circuit board obtained from Captain Teva. With Moff Gideon defeated, Mandalore reclaimed by bo-katan, and Grogu now a Mandalorian apprentice, Din Djarin kicks up his feet at his new cabin and takes a well-deserved break.
You